Good morning. Come on, you evil computer. Um, Welcome to beautiful downtown Crestline in the San Bernardino Mountains of Southern California's Inland Empire. I can't chat. It isn't working. I can't use the chat room. What the hiss? There, here we go. Evil YouTube wanted me to read some instructions. Well, hi, Evie. You came in really fast. I just got started. Let's try some light. Jeez, I can't get the lighting right. I have to check. Somehow my phone has hooked up to it. Evil phone. Don't do that. It'll take away from the bandwidth. Sheesh. Evil phone. Stay on your own internet band phone. Evil phone. Hi, Jan. Well, I guess I'd better not talk about politics. I got another warning. I can have a warning removed if I take this training about community guidelines. But if I take the training and I do it again, whatever it is, I get a strike and I'm banned for a whole week. Hi, Etsy Quentia. What are you doing, phone? Out of my face, phone. It's bugging me. I just did a quick search for the plot summary of The Exit Door Leads In by Philip K. Dick. Hi, Freeman. Well, on this one, they said look at a certain time code on a video that I put up a full year ago. So I looked at it and I don't get it. So, but I do know it was about politics. Well, politics is dirty. Always is. And I don't like either of the major parties. And I don't like what's going on with our country. But if I talk about it, I could lose my channel. As near as I can tell, the only thing I said that might have been questionable is not against the rules now, and probably was not a year ago, but there you go. Oh, Freeman finished reading Human Is. I don't remember the plot of that one, but it's undoubtedly the usual Philip K. Dick stuff. Plot summary. Human is oh, yes. Imposter is quite similar, isn't it? That's one of the problems I have with Philip K. Dick stories. Yeah. So the movie Imposter is more like Human Is than Phil's story Imposter, but they're basically the same theme. In Imposter, he's a robot. Now, the father thing I remember because some low budget science fiction movie pretty much stole the story. Where this UFO plants seeds up and replace the humans, and they look just like the people they're replacing. But no, the imposter, we're at war with space aliens, and they impersonate humans and come to live here to infiltrate our military and our government. If you get a chance to see the film Imposter, it's a shame that it didn't do better at the box office. It's a good movie. Well worth watching more than once. But it doesn't have the glitz and glamour of CGI like Star Wars and Star Trek and, I don't know, The Matrix. Anyway, it's safe to talk about Philip K. Dick, I guess. I mean, I was married to him. I don't really have much bad to say about him. Uh, he had faults, and so did I. And we often argued loudly. And he used words. Well, I use them now, but only when I'm alone with a computer. Yeah. Anyway, YouTube was nice enough to say, well, you might not have realized that this was a violation, so we won't give you a warning. On something I posted a year ago, why did it take them a year to see it if their AI is so great at looking for keywords? You know, they don't even have to use human time. I don't get it, but I better just leave politics alone. I don't have any really strong conclusions anyway. All I know is I don't like politics. I don't like Republicans. I don't like Democrats. I don't like most of the politicians. Oh, Etsy Quentia thinks I might want to start being nice to the computer since there are overlords and all, just to be on the safe side. Well, I did look up the exit door leads in this morning because I'm fascinated by the robot that sells hamburgers. And the way the guy tries to deal with it. Yes, Freeman, serve the computer. The computer is your friend. Well, I don't know. I do know that I have both heaters blasting, the gas and the electric. It's that cold. The computer claims it's 41 Fahrenheit. I really don't think it's that warm. Let's see, 41 F2 C is 5 degrees Celsius. When it gets up to 50 or more, I can turn off the heat, but not now. I could almost make ice cubes on the kitchen counter. Well, I haven't been playing computer games. And the ones that Facebook is pushing lately are almost all just variations on Farmville anyway. And I got tired of Farmville. Well, the cats haven't asked to go out, so I guess they know that it's cold. Even if this world is not literally a matrix, it sure does feel like one. So this week I bought a lottery ticket. I wasted $1, I'm sure. But tonight, the state of California holds the drawing for the numbers, and we'll see. Ah, Paranoia is a tabletop game. Okay. What I want to do is jigsaw puzzles, but I have cats. Jigsaw puzzles apparently are cat toys. I remember Phil, speaking of games, freaking out when I got a deck of cards to play solitaire. Now, if he had explained it to me, I wouldn't have been as angry. It's like, what? I can't do something I enjoy to pass the time? And he wouldn't explain why. Well, he had seen the movie, and I had not. All right, what was the movie called? Dang. It was too much like the JFK assassination, so they pulled it. Okay. Movie Assassin Mind Controlled. What the hell was it called? No. The Manchurian Candidate. Thank you, Freeman. Google wasn't as fast as you were. Hi, Howard. Well, in The Manchurian Candidate, he carries a deck of cards and he plays solitaire. And when he sees the Queen of Diamonds, he commits one of his crimes that he's been programmed to commit through brainwashing. Well, if Phil had told me that, I wouldn't have been so upset that I couldn't play a silly card game by myself to pass the time. And I find it interesting that that song Desperado has these lines, "Don't you try the Queen of Diamonds, boy. She'll hurt you if she's able. The Queen of Hearts is always your best friend." So maybe that's a hidden message in there. You never know. And by the way, I used to know a solitaire game where you just held the deck in your hand like the guy in Manchurian Candidate, and you I don't remember it now. um, was something Great Granny used to play because you didn't need a table to play it. Fruity Oaty Bars is from the movie Serenity, and it's a hidden message in advertising. Okay. Ah, wow. Well, now I play solitaire on the computer, but it's changed. Now you have to be online to play some of those games. And to go up to the next level, you have to use your internet. You know, that each level is a little more difficult. Well, I don't want to waste my bandwidth on solitaire. I just want to play the game. I don't think I actually have a deck of cards anymore. I might. Oh, itchies, itchies. That's the problem with wearing a wool cap. It keeps your head warm, but eventually the itchies set in. But in the exit door leads in, the test is whether you do what you're told or rebel. I've got to do a little switcheroo here with the camera because I want my mints and it's sitting on them. Peppermint. Peppermint is actually, or can be, medicinal. Etsequentia has been playing solitaire for years, decades. Now they upgraded it, made the graphics uglier, and put in ads you cannot avoid. Thanks, Microsoft. Well, when I play it offline, without the internet, there aren't any ads. What I really hate about the ads is they set the sound so loud. I jump out of my chair and mute it. And they're mostly ads for online casinos. Wow. Oh, Lord. Well, the cat number 6, Smokey, I thought he must be a male because he hasn't dropped kittens. No, she's a female, and she was in heat. And I had to put her out last night. She wouldn't leave me alone. She wouldn't leave the other cats alone. I know she was miserable, but there's nothing I can do about it. Well, I'm not going to click a link while I'm on live, Freeman. I really would like to play the game where you're searching for you're trying to clear the board without hitting a bomb. I think it's Free Cell. But you have to go on the internet to play it. These games used to come for free as part of the Microsoft operating system. And you did not have. Oh, Minesweeper. That's right. Free Cell is that card game. Thank you, Etsequentia. Minesweeper. Free Cell is one of the card games. It's annoying because it will play a card for you that you don't want to play. Never used to do that. It's like, oh, this will go up to the top, but you need it down below for something else. Evil computer. Well, it's almost Christmas. Plus, I think it is Hanukkah. And, of course, Kwanzaa. A professor at UCLA invented Kwanzaa because he felt that Black people needed a holiday of their own. And it's very interesting. But no matter which holiday you celebrate, or even if you don't, it's time to spend time with family and to have feasts. Yeah. Yes, really, Etsequentia. Okay, let's see. Origin of Kwanzaa. Created in 1966, Alana Ron Karenga to reaffirm and restore African heritage and culture. There are 7 principles, and it's celebrated nationally as a communal and non-heroic holiday. Kwanzaa. Well, let's get you a link in case you want to know more. But it's for African. Here we go. African communities and so forth to come together and celebrate their heritage. And anyway, and then there's the New Year, a totally pagan holiday, and it's on the wrong day. The New Year, for thousands of years, started on the spring equinox in March, a month named after the planet Mars. Hi, Lucas. Welcome in. Oops, that's there. Anyway, the January 1st New Year is based on the planet Saturn, the pagan god Saturn, which became very old and then was reborn. Hi, Ditch. Let me type Ditch in the chat room. So on the new year, we have the old man carrying a scythe, and then the young baby at his feet, and they're the same person. There's something about the planet Saturn. It seems that in ancient times, it actually lit up the night sky, or at least the people living at that time believed that it did. Excuse me a minute. My water went down the wrong pipe. Hi, Melody from the Philippines. Welcome. So, apparently, now there's a book about that. I have it somewhere. Someone rearranged all my books, so I don't know where it is. This guy thought that Saturn was seen above the North Pole of the Earth. I don't really go with that. But apparently, in ancient times, the planet Saturn was either brighter or closer to the Earth, and at night it provided enough light that it would be like having a full moon. And the book of Genesis does say that God put a great light for the day and a lesser light for the night. And strictly speaking, our moon is not a light, it's a mirror. It reflects sunlight onto the earth. So maybe Saturn did light up the night sky in ancient times. And then something happened. The ancient people, even as recently as 300 BC, according to Chuck Missler, people were afraid, terrified of the planet Mars. Oh, Jen is reading Ubik, or got a copy of Ubik at a shop in Tasmania. Wow. Ubik is one of my favorites. Well, anyway, the way Chuck Missler explains it is that at one time, the planet Mars was actually a moon of a larger planet. And when that planet exploded, Mars left its orbit and kept passing close to the Earth and close to Venus. the next planet in toward the sun. Well, that makes sense to me because there's a Greek myth about how Aphrodite, the Roman Venus, same woman, same goddess, was forced to marry the ugliest of the gods, Hephaestus in Greek, Vulcan in Latin, in the Roman myth. So I would interpret that personally as stating that Mercury used to be a moon of Venus. Well, anyway, in the myth, Mars, in Greek, Ares, had an affair with Venus and lured her away from her husband, Hephaestus / Vulcan. And what do you know? Venus and Mercury are separate now. And there's all kinds of physical evidence to suggest that the planet Mars did pass close enough to the Earth to wreak havoc and cause global disasters. And it would explain some of the weird things on Mars, like that canyon. Darn if I can remember the name of it. There's a huge canyon on Mars. Hi, who knows? Thanks again for the goodies from my Amazon wish list. I'm hoping to get enough goodies to go ahead and start making short cooking videos. The one I really want to do for you is an oxtail soup. In my case, I make it for 1 or 2 people. Let's see, who knows says around 20 years ago, he was connected to a mystery school who followed the teachings of a man who said he was the incarnation of Mars. Oh, wow. You don't want to be Mars. Mars is the god of war. And in some cases, Venus can be a goddess of war, not just beauty. Valles Marineris, yes, the canyon. And I should remember that because that's where Phil got his title, Valles. I'll type that, Valles equals, come on, Valis. And after he gave it that title, he came up with the words that Valles stands for. Vast Active Living Intelligence System. Yeah, being Mars is better than being Saturn. I guess so. Well, Phil really thought at one point, just like Nikola Tesla, one of the people he read about, the the original mad scientist using electricity. Well, he thought he was getting messages from a base on the planet Mars. Now, Saturn is the name of one of the Greek gods, and Saturn's son, Zeus, Jupiter in Rome, sliced his belly open. You see, Saturn had this habit, also Kronos, Kronos, actually nothing to do with time or Father Time. We confuse it with the Chronos, but the ancient Greeks would not. The pronunciation is considerably different. Well, Kronos had kicked his father Uranus, heaven, out. So our planet Uranus is farther out than Saturn. Well, there was a prophecy that his own children would usurp his throne. So every time his wife gave birth, he would swallow the child. And so the mother gave him a rock wrapped in swaddling clothes and hid Jupiter/Zeus in a cave on the earth. And when Zeus grew up, he sliced his father's belly open to let out his brothers and sisters, and they were the Olympian gods. And what do you have with the planet Saturn? Well, its belly has been ripped open, and it has all these moons and debris in rings around its equator. These myths just might be ways to remember what they saw happening in the sky. So we have Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, the god of the sea. Somehow Neptune doesn't fit into this story. And then Pluto was discovered in the 1900s, and yet the name is very apt. The god of the underworld, Hades, Pluto, the farthest one out. Well, anyway, if Mars was a moon of a huge planet that blew up, a lot of anomalies in our solar system would make more sense. Is Enceladus the moon of Saturn that looks like a Death Star from Star Wars? I never remember the name of that one. Well, Hollywood made vampires sexy. In the Middle Ages, they were just dead things that walked around and killed people. And they were probably, at least in many cases, just people who died of the plague. They didn't know about germs. Freeman says the Death Star moon is Mimas. Okay. Tora, what do you want? Of course, you want to pester me because I'm on YouTube Live. Is that it? All right, I've got some treats set aside for you. They go up here, not down there. Silly cat. Let's get her on camera. There she is. Pretty kitty. Oh dear. Well, all right. They're talking about an actress in the chat, but I missed her name. And I probably wouldn't know who she was anyway. Oh, you haven't given me your name. Hi, 420 Herbal. Well, whoever she was, she read all her lines phonetically because she didn't speak English. Ah, Matilda May. Thank you, Ditch. That's like Dracula. Lon Chaney. He didn't speak English, and yet the way he read his lines in a language he did not understand actually made it better, more spooky. Bela Lugosi. Lon Chaney Jr. was the werewolf. I'm sorry. Lon Chaney also played Dracula. But Bela Lugosi was a movie star, a heartthrob in his home country. I forget which one, but it was in Eastern Europe. And he did not really appreciate being, in monster movies, but he was great at it, playing Dracula. Bela Lugosi. Yeah. And he did eventually learn some English, but when he first did Dracula, the first one, he was brand new to this country. Tora, get out! Get off my desk! Evil cat. Yes, you can have some treats, but you cannot walk on my keyboard. It is not allowed. You may not mess up my keyboard. Ditch is planning to watch The Last Voyage of the Demeter, a Dracula movie. There have been some really great vampire movies. I'm trying to remember. Oh, well. Anyway, Halloween is over, but Ditch still has the vampire spirit. Yep. Well, Halloween, I think Mexico has it right. They celebrate the Day of the Dead when they go to their loved ones' graves and honor them. Um, in this mountain community, it's uh, very rare to have children come to your door because of the distances and the hills, and everything's uphill both ways, and it's cold. So our local businesses and charities hand out candy during the daylight hours so children can come out in their costumes and get little treats. And they usually have some things for adults, non-alcoholic, but hot apple cider, hot cocoa, popcorn, all kinds of goodies. When I was a child, on Halloween, Mom usually gave out popcorn. We'd make a big pot of popcorn and wrap individual servings in napkins and bring up the corners and tie the top shut with a piece of string or ribbon. And mom was just being cheap, but a lot of the children who received the popcorn liked it better than the candy. The left side of Ed Sequentia's brain just melted. Freeman did it to him. Oh, it was a link that Freeman sent. That was meant to trigger an autonomic response. Okay. Ditch says, oh no, Freeman is giving people snow crashes. Okay. Now, I hope that by now, since I've been pushing it so hard, all of you have seen the film Radio Free Albemuth and perhaps even read the book. No, I'm not going to watch it, Freeman. I don't skip over to links while I'm on live. My brain has enough problems without pushing it over the edge. In Radio Free Albemuth, we have Phil, the writer, at his typewriter, and of course he has a pet cat. And by the way, no cats were harmed in the opening scene. They used a teddy bear. And then he's friends with Nick, who is having all these weird experiences with a pink light. And it is the original Valis novel that was turned down. His agent sent the manuscript back saying no publisher wants it. It isn't, they can't sell it. You know, people won't buy it. Ed Sequentia is scared and is going to start Christmas early this year. Large amounts of alcohol to forget what he saw. Got spare eggnog? Well, Ed Sequentia, you can blame Freeman for that. Freeman and his links. Oh, wow. By the way, I'm in a rocking chair. That's why I'm going back and forth. It's better for my back than a straight back chair that doesn't move. I forgot to buy eggnog. Well, I don't think it's too late to get some. I do have rum. Some people put brandy in it. I don't like that. It's something about that is nasty. But it's pretty good with a tiny bit of rum. But it's good without any alcohol. Just put plenty of nutmeg in it. It really needs nutmeg, but be careful. If you're going to be drug tested, nutmeg will make you test positive for heroin. So will poppy seeds. Of course, it depends upon how many you eat and how sensitive the test is. But that's where heroin, opium, originally came from, was poppies, the seeds of the poppies. Oh, so will cough syrup, Ditch says. Well, I don't know about now, but cough syrup used to contain one of the opioids or opiates. I forget which one. but they called it dextromethorphan. That was their brand name. In, I think Vicks Formula 44 might still have it. Freeman says laudanum? Maybe. I'm thinking of something else. Just my brain isn't on that channel. Ditch says they still do. Okay. The latest that emergency room doctors like to give you in pill form is, oh, come on. I've got I had the word a minute ago. Well, it's one that doesn't get you high. And I like that. I don't like to get high. Codeine. Thank you, Ditch. Codeine was in cough syrup. You used to see drug addicts, usually old, scruffy men, sitting on a park bench drinking cough syrup because it had some codeine in it. No, OxyContin gets you high and kills you, Freeman. Come on. Let me see what Google can tell me. Opioids. Oh, they want to help me with drug abuse. Brand names. For pain. Tramadol. Problem is, it makes me vomit. I can tolerate a dose or two, but by the third one, I'm vomiting. Oh, that's what Phil had after his oral surgery and his pink light experience. Percodan. Very powerful opioid. So, and it does cause hallucinations, which is one of the reasons why they discontinued it. Yeah, I know, Freeman. DuckDuckGo is better, but I'm lazy and Google is built into my browser. So anyway, what am I doing? My cigarette went out. They had discontinued Darvon because people were hallucinating and getting hooked and all that. So they started using Percodan, which was even worse. But now, although it's little known, you can get Percocet and Darvocet. No, Darvocet was discontinued. A few years ago, they decided it caused heart attacks. OxyContin was supposed to be the miracle, but it created lots of junkies. My philosophy is that if I try to hide my searches from the powers that be, that'll put me on their radar. They'll want to know what I'm hiding, and I'm not hiding anything. Oh, you can get all of them in Mexico. Yeah, but just try to cross the border with them. And I don't want any of these opioids. I don't like to get loopy. Good reason why I don't drink, and I generally, almost always, do not put alcohol in my eggnog. Once in a great while, if I'm not driving, I'll have a glass of wine with dinner. That's pretty much my limit. It's just not my thing. Hi, Victoria. Victoria. So back to the Greek gods and goddesses. Those were more than just stories. They were ways to remember what people had witnessed actually happening with, embellishment, frills, decorations. But if they said Mars had an affair with Venus, and here their orbits are all wonky, now maybe the ancient people did see those two planets have a bit of a dance together. And if they say that Jupiter cut open Saturn's belly and Saturn has a bunch of rings of debris around its belly, maybe they saw that happen. Ditch is joining a Dionysus cult. Save some bail money for him. Well, you know what happened in ancient Greece when the cult of Dionysus formed? It was actually women drinking wine till they were out of their minds. And if they came across a lone traveler, a man walking down the path, they'd grab him and tear him to shreds, just tear him apart. That was the Dionysus cult. The way the Greeks pronounced Dionysus was something like Dionysus. Of course, the English speaking scholars never pronounce anything the way the people who live there or speak that language pronounce it. So Myanmar became Burma, and there are many other examples of countries that their name for their country is nothing like what we call their country. Germany. I don't know where they got that. In German, it's Deutschland. In French, it's Allemand. But we call it Germany. I should look into that. I don't know why. Which, of course, brings me to the Pennsylvania Dutch. The German settlers in Pennsylvania told people they were Deutsch, which meant German. But the English speaking people didn't know that, so they thought they were Dutch. Let's see, Ditch says Tyskland in Norwegian. I guess that's their name for Germany. I'm not going to click the link, Freeman. I resist. I refuse. Victoria just started Indian pipe tincture for headaches. Seems to be helping a little. Well, one of my listeners, the Who Knows guy, went to my Amazon wish list and got me the steam inhaler where you stick your face in and breathe in steam, and it has done wonders for my sinus headaches. The air is very dry up here on the mountain. And by the way, even though I could get a nice bit of cash if I sold my house, it would not be enough to get anything else. And even as a renter, it wouldn't last very long. I'm stuck here in this little house, so it's a good thing that I like it. It's just too small, especially now that 6 cats have moved in. Ditch had an ocular migraine. Looks like TV static. Now, I don't want to leave the mountain anyway. I just want another storage shed, I guess. Although in winter it's hard to get out there because it's cold and the ground is slippery. If there isn't snow, there's ice. If there isn't ice, there's mud. But no, I think God told me to live here. The way the county wants permits for everything, get this, they want you to pull permits to build a fence. Is that ridiculous or what? And I don't have a back porch because I can't come up with the money to apply for a permit to build one. I think I might ask a local church to help with the porch, and I already have a fence. Yes, ocular migraine, your eyes do weird things to you. Freeman concurs, don't move. I'm perfectly situated. Just need a seasonal crew to help dig out when I have a snowpocalypse. Well, during snowpocalypse, once in 50 years storm, the church dug me out. So I'm good. The local Baptist church. The ocular migraine gives you a blind spot for about an hour. I always have a blind spot. That's why this eye does weird things. But see, if I use my right eye, the left eye goes off. It is not strabismus. It's nothing to do with the muscles. My right eye has a blind spot. It has had it since I was about 2 years old and suffered a pretty bad head injury. Ditch thought he was having a stroke. A friend of mine has something they call a stroke, but it isn't a stroke. It's a headache, something to do with her neck and the nerves that run through her neck. I forget what it's called, but it's actually a kind of migraine. but it wipes her out for hours. Ditch has a droopy eyelid since birth, and recently it started going away. Well, I'd settle for $1 million, Freeman. Anyway, Freeman is a Rockefeller. Yeah, I did buy a lottery ticket for tonight. We'll see. I probably threw $1 down the drain. So anyway, as time goes on and I'm not getting any younger, I'm just hanging in there. The one thing about this house, the place I used to live on this mountain had a nice sunny yard where tomatoes would grow like crazy and I'd be giving them away all summer. Here, something's wrong and the tomatoes just take forever to bear fruit. And I have 2 tomato plants left with fruit on the vine, but the fruit is still green and the frost has killed all the leaves. So I don't think I'll get to have those tomatoes. I think what I'll do is pick them green and find a recipe for fried green tomatoes. But they're the little ones, the tiny ones, bite size. I've inspired Freeman to gamble tonight just to thwart the demon that keeps me poor. Well, I don't know. If I won the lottery, I would pay off my mortgage and do something wonderful for the community and my family, because without the mortgage to pay, I could cover all my bills, no problem. Hi, Dawn. We've been on for over an hour. Yeah. What the wealthy, entitled elite don't realize, see, they're thinking if they have all the money, they can buy everything they want. But without us to make the things they want, their money is worthless. And they don't realize that. They're idiots. Greedy, lazy, wealthy, entitled idiots. And because they don't marry outside their own small group of elites, they probably have all kinds of genetic defects. I think that's one reason why the royal princes of England married non-nobility, people who didn't have titles and pedigrees. I'll look up Fruity Oaty bars some other time, like after I'm off this podcast. Freeman. Ditch says the Habsburg jaw is strong with them. Yeah. And the Habsburgs also tended to have hair lips. I forget which Spanish king it was, but one of them, because he had a hair lip, the center of his upper lip didn't come together. He lisped, and that's why the Castilian Spanish deliberately lisp so as not to insult the king for his lisp. Well, I have to tinkle. Charles the Third, Freeman says, yeah. Wow. Well, the fates of the first two Charleses were not so good. Let's hope his is a little better. Charles the First was, I think he was hanged. He was either hanged or beheaded by Oliver Cromwell. Charles the Second ended up in exile. First, he came back from exile, and then I think they exiled him again. And then we got James, a Catholic. He was pushed out. So that line of basically Scottish kings of England just didn't do too well. And I'm struck by the fact that the royal family spent so much time in Scotland at their castle at Balmoral. Oh, Charles III of Spain. He's the one they have to lisp for. Thank you, Freeman. Okay, I shall be back in a few minutes. Coffee must be recycled. Don't go away. Dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum-de-dum. I'm coming slowly but surely. Oh, Lord. Here we are. Oh, Freeman has made us all Manchurian candidates. Ditch is right. Dawn is looking forward to some snow and Christmas music. Well, we might get some snow here this weekend. So far, it's just been cold and dry. Yes, Dawn, the Queen of Diamonds. Oh, Lord, my tummy hurts. It wants some food. I'm almost out of bacon. I buy it once a month. Every month, the price goes up and the amount of bacon in the package goes down. But last night, I indulged my taco craving. I actually had some pre-made taco shells and some hamburger and taco spice. and of course, cheddar cheese and lettuce. And I made tacos. Well, my tummy isn't happy, but I am. They're even better than Del Taco or Taco Bell when you make them yourself. Yes, Taco Wednesday, but yesterday was Tuesday. That's when I made them. Oh, wait a minute. You're right. I'm doing Thursdays now. Excuse me. Today is Thursday, December 14. 11 days till Christmas, and since we have 12 days of Christmas, the 12th being the day after Christmas. Interesting. This must be the first day of Christmas, or something like that. Ditch ate a ton of guacamole last night. Oh, garlic. Yeah, the amount of garlic means you won't meet the love of your life today. No, I'm not doing 12 streams in a row. At Sequentia saw Damnation Alley a couple days ago. Very interesting zero-budget post-apocalyptic movie from the time movies were worth watching, based on a Zelazny story. Ooh, Roger Zelazny. Freeman, 12 Days of Christmas and 5 months of bills. Okay. Look at the kitty. She's kneading my blanket. Someone gave me a super soft fleece blanket, and Tutu just loves to lie on it and knead it. There she is. Tutu's a sweetie pie, aren't you? Come on, kitty kisses. Such a pretty girl. What she's doing also is getting very close to Tora. No, you can't see Tora. It's too dark, and Tora's too dark, but she's down there. And the kittens, especially Tutu and Patches, like to get as close as possible to Tora without disturbing her, because Tora will hiss them away if she notices them, but they like to be near her. Yeah, I haven't been able to buy anything for anybody, Dawn. Just not happening. Well, I don't know if she smiled at the camera, but she did yawn. Freeman's thinking of the day that Phil's safe was broken into. How soon was that, before or after he wrote to Stanislav Lem? It was a good year before he ever wrote to Lem. It was November 17th, 1971. Hold on, let's see. He wrote to Lem in late 72 or early 73. I think it was 73, around March or something. I don't know. No real connection. Phil suspected that Lem was an agent of somebody's government. Might have been ours. Might have been Russia's. You know, that this was the days of the Soviet Union. Poland was a Soviet Socialist Republic. and they wanted him to travel to Poland to collect his royalties by buying things there with his 750 zlotys. And considering the exchange rate, I don't think 750 zlotys would buy you dinner at a fancy restaurant. No, the break-in was almost certainly triggered by Nixon's brand new agency, the Drug Enforcement Administration, because Dr. Timothy Leary escaped from prison, and some months earlier, Leary had made a phone call to Phil from John Lennon's hotel room in Canada. Very, very thin connection, but you know how spies are. In, investigators, they suspect everyone of everything. Uh, the time that he corresponded with Lem was much, much later, at least a year. Yeah, Phil was totally paranoid, but in many cases he was right. He used to have a poster. Well, I don't think we actually had the poster. It was at someone else's apartment. But it said, just because I'm paranoid, it does not mean that you are not out to get me. Paranoia is an extreme phenomenon of being aware of your surroundings and alert to danger. Exactly, Freeman. They thought he was aiding and abetting uh, Leary, who had escaped from prison. So Leary ended up touring Europe as a big celebrity, and Phil ended up with his life totally destroyed. Oh well. Anyway, speaking of paranoia, Phil had and read a book about the famous psychologist Harry Stack Sullivan, who was schizophrenic himself. And he decided that maybe the paranoid people in the mental hospital were not all that crazy. Maybe they were psychic. So he would walk around the ward thinking specific bad thoughts about specific paranoid patients. And these patients would walk up to him and say, "Why did you say such and such about me?" And he hadn't said it out loud, he'd only thought it. Well, they thought Phil was the biggest drug dealer in the town. He never sold drugs. He rarely got drugs. That was usually marijuana. The rest were from his doctor, prescriptions. Oh well. Phil was struggling, had to sell his house because he didn't have enough money to make the monthly payment. And of course, there was a little profit on selling it, and Nancy got half of it. They were still married, but in divorce court. And he was struggling to pay child support for Isa. He just didn't have the money. Okay, Freeman is going to enjoy researching Harry Stack Sullivan. My eyes have got itchies. Anyway, yeah, I should crack open that book of Phil's and read it. But some of his books are in such poor condition because they're old. They'll fall apart. Coffee. Water. We're almost at an hour and a half, guys. And Freeman says, yeah, I know I'm paranoid, but am I paranoid enough? Yeah. Ditch says he can find PDFs of anything if you don't want to crack the books. Yeah. Yeah, well, if we all knew what we know now when we were children, I don't know. Might not be a good thing. The adults around us might make our lives miserable. Child prodigies and all that. I did have an inborn bit of common sense. One time, the back seat of my brother's car was on fire. Apparently, someone had dropped a cigarette, probably by accident. Well, the sprinkler was attached to our garden hose. So, and Mom couldn't get the water to spray the way she wanted, so she dropped the sprinkler on the lawn and got a little squirt bottle to try to put out the smoldering fire. I was, about 14 at the time. I just sat down and unscrewed the sprinkler from the hose and brought the hose to her. Yeah, it took a minute, but that little squirt bottle was not going to put out the fire. Yeah, life can be a horror, but I refuse to let the bozos get me down. At the moment, I'm smoking Camel filters. The Dunhill Red are just a little too expensive, and I have bills to pay. Camel filters, as far as American brands of cigarettes go, they're the least obnoxious. And our local shops keep running out of them, so that should tell you something. And the smoke shop locks them up in the super secure room. They don't even they leave a few packs out front on display, but the cartons are all locked up very securely. They actually had a burglary once in the middle of the night, and the burglars took all the Camel filters and left the cheap brands. Freeman says 1972 was a very pivotal year. Secretariat won the Derby, but I think the Triple Crown. You know what else happened in 72? Nixon was reelected. We survived. We have survived LBJ, Richard Nixon, 2 George Bushes, and all kinds of nonsense. We'll survive whoever wins this time. But I hope we do better than survive. I hope we thrive. In 1972, I turned 18. I wanted to go to college, but I was leaning more toward joining the Navy. They had the least horrible fitness program. And I never have been able to do one single push-up, ever. And then I met Philip K. Dick. No clue who he was. Ditch says he's the closest thing you can get to the Akashic records. He finds things that don't even exist. And Ed Sequentia says that's a wonderful talent. And Freeman says he's going to need him for more PDFs, if you don't mind. I got to quit smoking so much. They're expensive. Well, anyway, I'm cold. I've got all the heat on. I'm sitting on a heating pad. The lousy half-hour timer turned it off. And I'm ready to start shivering. I know one little drafty window I have to fix so it doesn't bring in cold air. But that's way out in the kitchen. It isn't here where I'm sitting. Anyway, I got kitties. They aren't even thinking about going outside. Yes, I have hot water. That's one of the reasons why my heating bill is high. In the summer, I can turn the water heater off and still get scalding hot water because the intake, the pipes that bring water to the water heater, run through my roof. I save a lot of money that way, and I still have hot water. But in winter, gotta crank it up and use the gas to heat the water. And our California government wants us to switch to all electric, but my house is not wired for that. It takes special circuits and special wiring that I don't have, and many houses on this mountain don't have it. And the cost of just wiring the house, never mind buying the appliances, would just forget it. Thousands of dollars. I haven't got that kind of money. What I really want in my wildest dreams is to expand the bathroom so I can have a tub. All I have is a shower because that's all there's room for. And it's a tiny shower. They don't make those fiberglass enclosures small enough for my shower. But I really want a bathtub. Once in a while, I've just got to soak, not just have the water running off of me. Oh well, anyway, that's another story. Phil preferred a shower. I always preferred a sit-down bath. Yeah, when I win the lottery, I'm just going to fix up the house. I'm not going to rewire it or any of that. But I'm going to have a bathroom with a tub, or at least a hot tub out back. But I've heard too many horror stories about people dying in hot tubs or getting seriously injured, so maybe I won't even think about that. Yeah, and our grid is not reliable, although it's gotten really good up here on the mountain. We've had planned power outages so they can fix the infrastructure to prevent future outages. You see, we're hooked up to a wind farm that's way out in the desert by 29 Palms. There's a big marine base out there. Anyway, when Los Angeles has a blackout or a brownout or rolling blackouts, our circuits are switched over to the wind farm. So we rarely have a problem with widespread power outages, but we do have local ones where 70 to 90 mile an hour winds knock out a transformer or pull down a pole along with the wires that are attached to it. The wind will knock over a tree, the tree will knock over the power pole, and then we have a problem. They can't fix it till it's deactivated, and then there's even more power outages because they have to quit pumping electricity into the lines to make it safe for the workers to come in and fix the damage. Yes, Don, some real old maps show California as an island. Well, our huge desert, Death Valley, is obviously an ancient seabed. It was an ocean once, that's why it's full of salt and borax. Maybe my age is showing, but 20 Mule Team Borax used to run TV commercials on, uh, okay, what was it? Something Wagon Days? Oh, gosh. Come here, Google. Ronald Reagan would introduce Wagon Train. Ronald Reagan as Captain Paul Winters. Wagon Train was one of the shows we watched regularly, and Mom thought that television would rot our brains, so we didn't watch much television, but we watched Wagon Train. Well, I don't know about Lemuria, but our coastal town of Malibu, the native tribes called it the place where you could look out across the ocean and see Mu, an ancient island or continent off the coast of California. Now, there are places where, for example, the rim of these mountains, you can look out across the ocean, which is something like 100 miles, the shore is something like 100 miles away, and you can actually see Catalina Island on a clear day. Don thinks you could make silly putty with borax. Well, 20 Mule Team Borax was a laundry detergent. Yeah. Oh, wow. And in the early days of mining borax out in Death Valley, oh, Death Valley Days. That was another TV show. And of course, 20 Mule Team Borax advertised on that show. Um, in the early days of mining borax, they would hook up 20 mules to the wagon to pull the huge amount of borax they had mined in the desert. Yeah, ad-free YouTube would be nice, except sometimes I watch the ads because I like the channel enough that I want them to make a few pennies from their ads. And some of the ads are not so darned annoying. But really, YouTube, I don't need to lose weight. I don't want any snake oil. Thank you very much. The coffee loophole. The rice loophole. I don't know. It's crazy. Oh, yeah. That's right, at Sequentia. Gene Roddenberry pitched Star Trek to NBC as Wagon Train to the Stars. But you know what I liked even? Oh, The Final Frontier. What I liked even better than Star Trek, even though it was kind of hokey, but deliberately so, was, okay. Well, I did like Battlestar Galactica, but that's not what I'm thinking of. I, Battlestar Galactica was like Bonanza in outer space, uh, because Lorne Greene played the leader, the admiral in charge of the fleet. But no, oh crud. It was based on an old comic books and radio show. Adama, yeah, Adam. Let's see. 70s. Oh, you evil thing, don't kick my mouse out of the box. 70s sci-fi TV shows. You gotta be kidding me. Gives me 1999. I never watched the animated series of Star Trek. Not Buck Rogers, the other guy. It isn't listed here. Okay, go back. Space ship SHIP. Oh, come on. The sidekick was Dr. Somebody, and Doctor was just his head. I don't want to join your mailing list. I want to see your list of shows. Come on. Showing all kinds of things. Planet of the Apes. Space 1999. Come on. The court. It doesn't seem to exist. Buck Rogers? Might be Buck Rogers. I think it was Buck Rogers in the 25th century. Oh well. Back to the Flash Gordon. I think it was Buck Rogers. Could be Flash Gordon. Let me check. Flash Gordon TV show. It was either, it must have been Flash Gordon. Could be Buck Rogers. Etsy Quentia says Buck Rogers had the best disco dancing scenes. Yeah, it must have been, I don't know, Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon? I'm thinking Flash Gordon. Yeah, I watched Space 1999, but I wasn't thrilled with it. I'm done with Doctor Who. They just don't tell good stories anymore. I can see their good intentions, but you know what the road to hell is paved with? Well, you see, they had, oh crud, I've forgotten his name again. One of the best Doctor Who guys. And they actually had the other characters call him stupid and ignorant in a mean way. David Tennant. Oh, yeah. Well, no one can come near to Tom Baker. He established the Doctor as kind and benevolent and considerate. The kindness is gone. And it's all rock'em sock'em robots. Yes, I've been watching Nerdrotic on YouTube and Endymion is another good one. Let me type that. Endymion. It's another good one. But mostly I like to watch cooking shows, and YouTube has been forcing me to search for cooking shows. And I don't subscribe. I subscribe. I just don't join because that costs money. They aren't showing me my cooking shows. I have to search for them. They keep showing me all this politics that I'm done with politics. I can't bring myself to care because, as Dad said, they're all crooks. You know, a lot of pomp and circumstance in D.C., but are they doing anything? Are they doing anything good? The Republicans got the majority in the House, and what have they done? Nothing. And the Democrats, instead of trying to do something, just sit around insulting the Republicans, and then the Republicans insult the Democrats. And I'm like, hello? You guys are representatives. Whom are you representing? All of you. Any of you. Some of them give really great speeches. But what are they doing? They aren't doing for us, they're doing to us. Yes, it's theater. You're right, Ditch. It's all theater. I don't have a problem with a black Little Mermaid. I don't have a problem with a Hispanic Snow White. But for crying out loud, please tell a good story. At least some of our politicians tell a good story. Not that it comes to anything. And the Senate says they can't do anything because the House didn't do something. And the House says, well, we did it, but the Senate is sitting on it. Is anybody in our government working for us? Well, all I can recommend is vote, especially in local elections, school boards and city councils and such. These people want to get reelected. Write to them, at least send an email. I don't I don't often write to politicians, but I do on occasion, usually email, but sometimes actual US mail, and just give them my opinions. Sometimes I just want to thank them for something they actually did, but that's rare. Is someone leaving? Ditch says, take care, Merry Christmas. Maybe Ditch is leaving. But we really do need to participate. Politicians can't give us what they want if we don't tell them what we want. I am, really concerned about certain individual politicians because they're in the news. But what about the ones you don't hear about? Under the radar, what are they doing? Are they doing anything for the people who elected them? I have no clue. Yeah, Freeman wants me on Nerdrotic's show. Well, if they ask me, I'll go on. I'm amazed at all the interviews I've ever done, and I've done quite a few. I've never been attacked. It's amazing. Like, why did you divorce him? Or did you do such and such? No. Of course, that means I should never go on with, what's his name? I watched part of a YouTube about him, and the guy that Joe Rogan quit going on his show, the radio guy. Oh, let me see. The guy attacks everyone and everything. Well, there is a channel on Spotify called Attack Radio, so that isn't going to get Howard Stern. That's it. I'll never go on Howard Stern. Oh, I've been attacked outside of social media, but it's been decades. Certain hangers-on who climb the ladder over Phil's reputation just don't like me at all because I really knew him. No, not Hollywood and the publishers, although they ignore me. Well, Hollywood ignores me, and the publishers send me nice rejection letters saying, we really like this, but we just don't think people will buy it, or it doesn't fit our whatever. They want um, biographies of Phil that attack Phil. I'm not going there. He had a real experience, changed his life, and inspired some really great writing. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to get sued, but some people have really slandered me. Freeman used to be a stern fanatic, but now he's no longer funny. Yeah. See, people go on Howard Stern to get attacked because it's funny, but he's not funny anymore. My water's empty. I'll be right back. Oh, oh. My back hates me today. Mm. The mishandling of Phil's work bothers me too, Freeman. The movie Next, for example, is nothing like what Phil wrote. Yeah, and the expired copyrights are a real problem. His agent missed a few important copyrights, and even if the estate sued the agent, he's uncollectible. They would just be wasting their money on attorneys and get nothing. But, life is not fair. Well, I would have been somewhat wealthy if I had not divorced Phil, but he was living with another woman, and he did pay his child support. At first, it was not a court order, we just made an agreement. And he did spend time with his son and with me. But I didn't think I should be married to a man who was living with another woman. That relationship didn't last long. Oh well. I had the pleasure of meeting. Okay. What's her name? Avram Davidson's ex wife. Last name is Davis, and I'm blank on her first name. Wonderful, delightful lady. I'm so devastated that I had so little time, so little time with her before she passed. Great lady and a writer. I used to take in strays. The minute it was all boys. The minute the son turned 18 and there was no more welfare money, their mothers would kick them out of the house. That was early 90s. And my son would take them in and I'd go along with it. But frankly, I wouldn't do it now. I've heard horror stories. People take in homeless people into their own homes and they can't evict them. And they're trashing the place and stealing. Oh, Freeman would be bringing cash. Well, we were doing okay in the 90s. I had 2 jobs and student loans because I was still earning my master's degree. And my son had a small allowance from his father's estate. But stuff happens. And the worst of it was my health. It just went down the tubes. I got a degree in English literature, Dawn. Well, my 2-year degree was in the German language. My 4-year degree was in public relations, and my master's is in English literature. Lord, evil back, evil tummy. Oh, I'm way over 2 hours, guys. Way over. Oh, Freeman says a girlfriend of his suffered through taking in a boarder who trashed the place and she couldn't get rid of him. Yeah. Before I moved into this little house, I rented it out. They didn't pay the rent after the first month, so I evicted them. And they stole everything. They took my curtains, my curtain rods, my rug. Nice, beautiful, not quite antique rug, but in very good condition. They even took my trash barrels. Of course, they left the trash here and just took the barrels. They took dishes and pots and pans. And turns out they were drug addicts. But that was a long time ago. It was like 2008 or 9, somewhere in there. Anyway, I took them to small claims court and won, but I never saw a penny. It did wreck their credit for a while. Don Burnham doesn't have any job skills, just drinking beer and playing online poker. Okay. You were a custodian at a school, Don? When I was in junior high, I used to stop and talk to the custodian. He'd be sweeping or mopping something. I liked him better than the teachers. Oh, at a doctor's office. Okay. One time my dad had the job title of sheet metal engineer, but all he had was a high school diploma at the time. It was just a fancy title that they would give out instead of a pay raise. Oh, now I sound like Max Headroom talking about way over 2 hours. Didn't Max Headroom originally appear when some hackers took over the cable TV? It was a cartoon. No, I don't know. There was in the 80s these hackers took over cable TV and showed this cartoon. I forget what it was talking about. It was a big news story, though. Tea is empty. Oh, Don says he thinks that they were just mimicking him when they brought out Max Headroom. Could be. Anyway, I suppose it's time to get on with our day. I don't know did I get the cookies? No, I didn't get any cookies. Freeman, although I haven't checked my post office box. And I didn't, I wish you would send things to my street address whenever possible. If they use United Parcel, they'll bring it to my door. But when you give my street address for delivery, always find a way to include the box number. Usually you put it in as if it were an apartment number. Unless there's two lines and you can actually enter the post office box and the street address. But, I don't have reliable transportation. Don says it's nice in Pennsylvania today. He has to clean up his back porch, but he'll probably take a nap first and then go for a bike ride later. Well, anyway, Freeman, I appreciate anything you guys do for me, like praying and sending positive thoughts and saying nice things in my chat room. Max Headroom was a future where news broadcasting would be as it happens. Huh. Well, it practically is now. The news stations around here will go on YouTube Live when something's happening. Usually it's car chases, the police chasing a stolen car. I'm tired of car chases. And the other one is house fires. Well, sometimes they're businesses. Max Headroom was a future where news. Oh, okay. So Max Headroom supposedly got into an accident and they took him to a brain machine and made a computer generated version of the guy. So that's the story of Max Headroom. Okay. I gotta get off the YouTube and do something today. Possibly laundry or the dishes or cooking something. My home address is widely known, Freeman. Don't worry about it. Your friend made cookies. Sounds awesome. I'll have to check my post office box. Okay, I really gotta get off and do something for my back. It's unhappy. And it's way over 2 hours, so there. So let's do our sign off. Thank you all for listening and have a great day and Merry Christmas. Okay. And blessings to you as well. Who knows? Boy, let's get out of here and do something in the real world. Bye.